Good evening, YouTube. HeirofCarthage here. Going to be coming at you with some actions from the Lowlands map. So what the crap is going on from the Lowlands? This map, I always get it confused with the Crossroads, which I think is because the little picture of the map whenever you're going into the game shows the little flaming thing up on the tower, and I always think of the one from Crossroads because when I filmed that cinematic video, I was filming from that, and so it always makes me think it's Crossroads. And so I actually was under the impression that it was Crossroads the whole time, even though it clearly said Lowlands. And I planned a certain army for the Crossroads, but that's okay because the army I planned ended up working out good for this map. So as soon as this gets loaded, I'm going to show you my opponent's army. I will then cut back, show you my army, and then come back in with the discussion of strategy. So my opponent's army is pretty simple. Up front, he's got a level 4 Matchlock Warrior Monk. It does not have extended range. I think you have to have level 5 for that anyway. He has a mostly spear army. Up front, he's got a couple of Yari Samurai. Looks like level 4 on one and level 6 on the other. 2 Katana Samurai, level 9 with Bonsai. Very strong. That is his killing component, no doubt. He's got 2 Naginata Samurai, both of which appear to be level 7. And then he's got a Bulletproof Samurai at level 5. His avatar, my opponent was like a gold 5 star, it looks like. Yeah, gold 5. And he had a lot of melee points, but he had a few leadership traits as well. So that is the composition of his army. Alright, here we are back to give you my army composition. Let's go ahead and get that started. So, let me zoom on out. I've got 2 Naginata attendants, 1 in front, 1 running towards the dojo. I have 2 light cavalry in the center. My core is made up of Nodachis, one of which has an attack upgrade because it's the only veteran Nodachi I have. I have 2 Yari Samurai. One's level 2, the other is vanilla. I'll explain why I picked Yari Samurai here in a minute because many of you have been asking me that. I've got a Spears of Shizugatake hidden in that forest. And then already moving across the river, I have 2 bow cav and a fire cavalry. That's it for my army. So let me get back and explain some tactics and thoughts here. Alright, so on the Lowlands map, when you start in the position I am, which is at the yellow, a great thing to do is to make use of the ability to quick cross the river, right where that top left corner gets very close to the river. It's in a forest, some of your units can be hidden, so it's a great place for ambushes. It's also a great place to jump across the river quickly and put pressure on your opponent as he's coming out of his deployment, going for his key building. It is certainly not unusual for the key building on this side of the river to be quite good, and in this case it is. It's the shrine. Here's the farmhouse, and here's the workshop. So as I give you an overhead, you can see that my overall goal is to capture the workshop and the farmhouse, because obviously I'm going to have a better start at them. I was also using Shinobi Informer, so I could see my opponent's deployment. I could also tell by the troops he had chosen that he had not brought any cavalry, which what he's doing is banking on a heavy spear army, thinking that his spears will keep him safe from a heavy cavalry build. From heavy melee cavalry, this may be true, although you do have to use it properly in order to succeed at such a thing. However, in the case of my army, which is a couple of heavy cav mixed with a couple of light cav and a couple of bow cav, I'm going to be extremely maneuverable, and I'm also going to have skirmishing power. And not only that, bow cavalry aren't particularly strong in and of themselves. They don't kill units particularly quick. In fact, they're a rather tricky unit to use sometimes. Their arrows aren't armor piercing. They don't have the highest bow damage characteristic that's out there. But what they can do is they're mobile, and they can take advantage of cover, whereas mounted gunners or foot matchlocks cannot. Now here I did accidentally get my fire cav a little too close to this matchlock monk. I put it in loose formation at the last second, though it only took 8 losses. And then I came around the enemy general to charge back in. I did this so that his matchlocks wouldn't have a great clear line of sight here. And then my bow cav is going to shoot in a few more arrows into the back of this general's unit. So it ended up being a great killing station for me. My opponent's general is not a full-on melee gen, and this charge was utter mistake. I'm not sure what his reasoning behind it was. Maybe he thought he could just overwhelm me with his superior units. I don't know. Obviously his strategy here is somewhat anti-cavalry consistent, but he's acting very strange with his general and with his matchlocks. His matchlocks are very overextended right now. They've only got the support of 1 Yari Samurai when I have 3 cavalry units in the vicinity. Now, he may be trying to rectify this by sending this bulletproof samurai over here, but this thing is very exposed, and you can see my bow cavalry completely behind a ridge. I mean, you can see back over here, and you can't see the cav, but their arrows are coming in nonetheless. And so there they come running over the ridge, and then my opponent kept pushing me here with these matchlocks, so I decided to give him what he wants. He wants my cav, so here comes my cav. Although I'm sure that the flying matchlocks weren't what he wanted, but it was quite scenic nonetheless. And I'm not trying to be mean to my opponent when I say this thing. I'm just trying to talk through the goods and bads of what happens in this video. My plan was to do some heavy skirmishing. I have no intention of engaging my opponent. I have every intention of picking at him, pulling him out of formation, and prodding him to where I want. So see, this was almost a good move here. Almost. Why do I say that? Because look, these few horsemen who did get in here on a good charge killed quite a few of these katana samurai. Very expensive unit as opposed to a very cheap unit. On that charge there, if I hadn't come in from this side angle and I would have come in from right here on this front angle, I would have devastated this katana samurai. And look, he had to pop his bonsai here. Actually, he didn't have to pop it, but he did. Not sure why that is. So that's a benefit for me, at least. Making him pop that bonsai, at least, was a win for me, because it's going to take some time for that to cool down. My opponent moves across with this Yari Samurai, and I decide to engage it, but I shouldn't have done this because the rest of his forces are now pushing across the river. I had two options. One, I could have pinned my opponent up on this downhill and tried to beat him in a head-on fight, but even in that downhill position, I would probably lose. So I told myself, you know what, I brought this skirmish army, I'm going to use it. And so that's what I'm going to do. So I decided to just sacrifice this unit of Nodachis, and quite foolishly I do forget to pop their bonsai before they rout. But they hang in this fight for a little while. That was a rear charge from my bow cav to finish off those matchlocks, which they did. And I can now pull my bow cav out of that fight and get them to safety because obviously I need them. You can see me pulling back my main force. I'll go to an overhead, and what I'm doing here is creating a half moon similar to that at Con A. When I saw that my opponent was pushing my center, I started to split up my forces actually and make it more difficult. So as he pushes just alone in the center, my forces split up and pull him backwards until he's utterly surrounded, and then I can finish him off. He is in control of the shrine, and he's taking the farmhouse from me. Not that the farmhouse provides me any real huge benefit. But since he has the shrine and his units are better, if I engage him right now, I will die. But again, look at the blobbed up nature. So if you find yourself in this position, don't blob up. Don't do it. Get your troops. Take a dojo that you can maintain. Like for instance, this farmhouse would be a good one. There is no archery dojo, so my bow cav would have no way to reload once they run out of ammo. Capture this dojo and stay right here in these woods, and my arrows won't be able to do anything to you. And so you have to know how to use a map and strategy to get away from what it is that I'm doing here. And what I'm doing here is an effective strategy, but only if someone's willing to go for it. And in this case, my opponent did go for it because my bow cav accomplished its main purpose, which was to make him mad. And normally these bow cav don't get a lot of kills, but you can see this one already has over 100 kills. This one has, 50 some odd kills. I am going to pull him out of there, by the way. I'm not going to let this bulletproof samurai completely slaughter them. Look at me pulling my opponent further back, further back, further back. Patchy's unloading arrows into him. And then finally, I go ahead and decide to let this Yari Samurai stand and fight because look at this downhill position. I've got all kinds of good positions. Fire cav into the back of his Katana Samurai as soon as they attack, and their numbers start to decrease rapidly. And you can see they're wavering already, and that's a level 9 Katana Samurai up against a Yari Samurai and my Fire Cav. Now granted, of course, between the two units I spent more than he did, but I'm just saying that's how easily you can break the morale of even really good units. He reinforces with his Bulletproof Samurai, so in this particular fight, I will lose it. However, up front here, my two Nodachis versus his Yari Samurai, my Nodachis will easily win, plus I do a rear charge into those two Yari Samurai. He decides to come after Patchy, and he does get into Patchy, but the thing is, he doesn't have enough men left to really kill Patchy decisively. Maybe given the time, it's possible, because Patchy's melee statistics are really bad on this particular avatar. In fact, you can see, Patchy's pretty much straight up losing this fight, even though he outnumbered him 4-1. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and charge in here. reinforce that fight. I'm going to charge these Naginata Samurai in the center, but I would expect his Naginata Samurai are going to actually win that. I pulled the Spears of Shizugatake over here to help reinforce my general, but it turns out that Patchy decides to win the fight. Let's see what's going on everywhere else. This fight over here is starting to turn a little bit. I'm doing some rear charges with my light cav, which you can see affected the morale of this unit. Plus, I've got my bow cav spewing arrows right into the back. And right here, I decided to go on an all-out charge into this bulletproof samurai and just really try and bust their morale. It wasn't quite enough, but you can see their morale is red. But I'm going to have to pull all my cav out of there. I'm going to lose this light cav. But I do get away again with my bow cav and afford my Nodachis some more time to finish their work. Bulletproof samurai is now wavering. Here in the center, my Nodachis are still holding out against this Naginata samurai. Over here, these Naginata samurai did win out, and I guess I'm just kind of holding them up for a second with the Spears of Shizugatake, but I'm not going to leave it there. There goes my bonsais. Check out this bulletproof Naginata samurai completely exposed to a rear charge. Here comes the bow cav. Bam! Look at the morale start to falter there, but look how tough that Naginata samurai unit is. They took that charge pretty well. Plus he clicked an attack order, so I had to get my bow cav out of there. But now my Nodachis are going to start chasing these guys, and it's going to hurt their morale because they'll probably get the attack from attack from flank. I saw it. So now my opponent's got a two Naginata samurai left. This doesn't surprise me. Naginata samurai are very tough units, and these two that he brought were pretty good. But at this point, I can surround my opponent and finish him off. My melee troops have him engaged from the front. Here comes the Spears of Shizugatake from behind, with another morale destabilizing charge, which does rout one of the Nagi samurai, and then I decide to just all in with the rest of my troops and break the morale of this last unit. So I think that what's important here is to understand army choice. My opponent had a lot of very tough units, but really in the end, think about what's your plan with those tough units? How are you going to capitalize on them? So if you look at my army, I didn't have any tough units. None, except for the Spears of Shizugatake. Level 4 Fire Cav, pretty good, but not the best that's out there. I mean, it's a good unit, but really the only good unit that I had out there was the Spears of Shizugatake, and to be honest, it wasn't even all that decisive in this battle. I think that what this demonstrates is even if you're going to bring really tough or really good units or very specialized units, you've got to have a way to use them. So I'm not perfect by any means at this game, and I make mistakes, and my army here probably wasn't perfectly composed, and obviously there's a number of things that good players could have done to absolutely wreck me. So why was I victorious here? I was doing well here because I executed the plan that I brought. I picked my opponent apart, pulled him in different directions. He got frustrated, probably. This is just a guess. Obviously, I wasn't sitting there next to him, so I don't know. But I'm guessing he got frustrated, charges all of his troops at my center, knowing that he has that. So I ran, pulled him backwards, continued to take shots with my bow cav. Again, remember that the kills of my bow cav were up into about the 200 range before the end game of that battle. Meaning that my bow cav were getting a lot of kills. They were paying for themselves. It's a 600 koku unit, and when that 600 koku unit gets 120 some odd kills, that's worth it. Because if you think about, bringing a katana samurai or an odachi samurai that costs closer to 1,000 koku, it would be worth it for them to get that many kills. So think about it in that sense. So check it out. Surprisingly, my Yari Samurai right here getting the most kills. I don't recall which unit of Yari Samurai this was. So this is one of those things that can surprise you sometimes. This unit has not very good attack, but this is the reason why I bring these things. I told you I would explain it. Yari Samurai are not good at attacking. What they're good at is speed. They can get to a dojo, they can defend themselves against cavalry, and they are a sturdy unit that can defend themselves against weaker melee units, and they can actually hold out against very tough melee units for longer than you would think just because of their defense stats. The spears and their defense stats give them a way to survive for a long time in a fight. Check it out, this bow cavalry right here, 148 kills. My Nodachi, these two were effective. and my veteran one here, which is actually better, wasn't, and it's because of the way I used it. Remember, this one was a sacrifice. I actually used these two properly. Look at my bodyguard, got a surprising number of kills here, 96 kills. And, you know, not great for a bow gen, but again, all that time that I spent shooting and pulling back gave my bow units a way to pay for themselves. This other bow cavalry, not a ton of kills, but 84 still, respectable number, all things considered. So, and if you look at my opponent's units, he had some brutally strong units. Look at this Naginata Samurai, 292 kills. That's absolutely brutal. 186 kills from a Bulletproof Samurai. Look at this Katana Samurai. Even though I wrecked those guys pretty good, still got 185 kills. This was the only one that was clearly cost ineffective right here, because it didn't get as many kills as it had men. And then it starts to drop off even more from there. But yeah, I mean, so again, obviously my opponent's units were tough. It has a lot to do with the plan and the way you use them. Hope you all enjoyed this. Hopefully you learned something from it. That's always my goal here, is to not only entertain, but maybe also help you learn a little bit. And then of course you all always end up teaching me something too, because you always give me a lot of feedback, and I try and follow some of that and get better. So I will see you again soon with some Atomo campaign action. I already have it recorded. I just need to get it rendered, and I expect that I will be uploading Atomo campaign throughout the weekend. I have finished it. I think there's 2 or 3 episodes left that I'm going to upload. I don't know exactly how many. They'll be uploading over the weekend. Keep an eye out for it. HeirofCarthage signing off for now.